Hello and welcome to the video that I promised you at the end of Lethal Weapon, and I'm finally actually getting around to making the Super Nintendo tie-in ranking list of all the games we've played so far. Now, this isn't going to be like a normal thing. Like, the only reason I'm doing this, as opposed to just talk about it during the game, is, right, we played a bunch of tie-in games already, but I wasn't really ranking them at the time. It's just like, oh, here's this game I like, let me show you. Oh, here's this game I've never played before, let's see what it's like. And we just, we had fun, we had laughs, we cried, blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't until Power Rangers when I was like, oh, this is kind of like a sort of like a B compared to other stuff. And then with Lethal Weapon, and I started ranking, and I thought, you know what? Because this is sort of becoming a thing that, where I'm playing tie-in games for the Super Nintendo and sort of ranking them compared to each other, we haven't done that for the first set that we did. So I'm going to make one video. We'll go over all the ones we've played so far. And then, everyone will be caught up. And then going forward, when I do a tie-in game, I'll just talk about the ranking at the end of the game, right? Like I could have done with Lethal Weapon, but I had to make this video anyway, so I saved it for now. So first off, if you don't care about like, tier lists and like essentially a compilation video, because, I'll be playing the games as we're going down just so you have something to watch. So I'm not just sitting here and you're staring at a black screen. But if that's not your jam, if you're, I just tier for the games, I don't care about tier lists, that's okay. Bye. I'll see you next time. Like, no hard feelings on my part. I know it's not everybody's jam. That's fine. If you're feeling especially generous, you can hit the subscribe and like, blah, 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 all that stuff I'm supposed to tell you to do as a YouTuber or whatever. But yeah, going forward, I figure we'll just start at the top, work our way down, and then we will have covered all the tie-in games that we've done so far and sort of why they fit where I think they fit. And then going forward, I never have to do this sort of video again. We'll just talk about it during the game. So now that we're all up to speed on what to expect on this video, let's begin. Well, since we're starting here at the top at S rank, working our way down, the first up for us to analyze is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time. Now, before we actually begin with the thing, I'm going to say now, basically as we go, it's going to get shorter and shorter for each game. Like, we're going to spend the most time here in S rank and sort of show you everything. So if you're like, for like 15 minutes in, you're like, oh my goodness, 15 minutes on the first game alone? What are we? It's not going to be that long, right? Like, because it's sort of like, at the top, I'll show you everything that the best has to offer, and as we work our way down, it's like, and here's what this one is missing, now that you've seen what it could have been. So, first of all, don't worry about the first, it's going to get shorter as we go. Well, it won't be here for 8 years or whatever. But going along with that, you might be saying, okay, so we're going to spend the most time here in S rank. It's here at the top, Turtles. Are you really sure you're giving us an unbiased opinion about this game? Like, are you sure Ninja Turtles is here at the top? And I can understand your concern, right? Like, no, I'm not giving you a completely unbiased opinion. But as you'll see, that doesn't really matter. And you're like, okay, what are you talking about? Well, for instance, let's take a look. Right there, they got the Technodrome. Right here, even better, actually. Right there, Krang, there he is, peeking out from the back. We got the pizza vehicle that shoots pizzas out of it. We got the inner tube vehicle that floats on water. We got some water bottles. Got the party van here. There's a bunch of, like, blankets and pajamas and stuff. Below that, there's a lunchbox, the action figures. Up on this shelf, kind of right out of view for you, is the like sort of like the play set, like the turtle base underground in the sewers, with then the top sewer street above, city street above. Like, even I'm wearing a Ninja Turtle t-shirt, and this was not intentional. I just have a Ninja Turtle t-shirt in my normal t-shirt rotation that I happened to grab out after I took a shower today. So I get it. You might be saying, you're not very unbiased about Ninja Turtles. How can we trust you? And the answer is, because the game is the best, even if it isn't Ninja Turtles. Like, it's not good because of the Ninja Turtles, it's good in spite of them. Not really, because the Ninja Turtles don't make it worse, so it's not in spite of them. But this game would still be S rank, even if it was just the 4 good guys versus Badman and his army. Like, it has nothing to do with the Ninja Turtles, why this is so good. Like, well, okay, so what's so good about it? The answer is, yes, everything. First of all, it controls really smoothly. Like, in fact, here I'm not even looking at the main screen. I'm looking at the recording, so it's already smaller, on a small window, on the smaller monitor off to the side, and I'm just running loops and laps around this guy, right? Like, I'm like, woo, woo, come and get me. Oh, okay, he punched me once. I got too cocky with my hubris, but I'm Raphael, so that kind of makes sense. Right, so it's very smooth in how it controls. And in terms of, like, your controls as a character, it almost feels more like a fighting game than a side-scrolling beat-em-up, which is what it is. Like, because sure, you got your basic attack, but you've also got, you know, a combo attack. Okay, like some of the other games we're gonna see have that. But, like, how about not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 jump attacks? Like, we've got a jump-up attack, so you can be like, whoop, punch you in the face. I mean, they're on the ground, so it doesn't work very well, right? We got, like, a slow fall jump attack that we could run into them. We've got a fast kick attack if you wanted to, you know, cover more space. There you go. That one. Whee! You've got a timing one where you jump up, fall down, get hit, and you can't show it off. Get out of here, man. Jump up, fall down, time it, and then you launch yourself across the screen. You know, you've got a run thing where you can, like, run and headbutt. But you didn't see it because he's behind you. Here, let's go again. Run and headbutt. He was off. There you go. Headbutt. You know, you can pick dudes up, throw them at the screen. You know, stun them and, I said stun them. I keep hitting the wrong button. Okay, and I keep blowing them up. But that's alright. We'll be talking about that in a second, too. I really thought it was pull the opposite direction, and that's what made you... Yeah, there we go. Stun them in like a womp, womp, womp. You know, you can run and have a, you know, do this invincibility frame flip, you know, front flip, so you can reposition yourself. You could run, do the front flip, turn it into a slide attack. Right? It's crazy the amount you can do. And now let's talk about, like, what the game itself is doing, right? The first level already. I'll pause it so April O'Neil doesn't yell at us to keep going. Just on the first level, what have we interacted with? We've got a traffic cones, you know, sort of, because we're on a construction site, so there's cones that we could hit into the enemy. We've got, like, the falling ball and chains for the construction stuff that could hit us. We had an exploding gasoline barrel. Now we've got Krang and his giant robot body, like, shooting lasers at you from the background. And that's the first level. There's just more of it from here. So it controls smoothly. You've got a lot you can do for it being a side-scrolling beat-em-up. You know, there's a lot mechanically going on with the levels themselves, but it's not just, like, the mechanics of it. It also looks gorgeous, right? Like, for being a nighttime construction level, which we will see another one in the future. Again, stop it, April O'Neil. I'm trying to show stuff up. Look at the background, right? Just take a look at how beautiful that is, right? This isn't like, okay, here you are, nighttime level. You got some red girders, and then it's, like, black. Right? You've got, like, the deep blues of the water. It's sort of like red sky and, like, twilight as the sun is setting. And then, like, the buildings, you know, they're not just, like, it's nighttime, so they're black or dark blue. Like, they're like this rich brown because, yes, they're not lit up from the sun, but it's New York City, so they're lit up from all this reflected light. You know, speaking of light, like, look at the sort of the, the lights that are lit up in, you know, in the buildings, right? It's not just one copy paste. Like, yeah, there's a couple, like the one I'm standing under right now is the same as the one over here, right? Like, so yeah, it's not like each one is an individual bespoke building. But they're not just one copy-pasted building. You've got a whole type of, like, which ones have lights on, which, like, they, you know, sort of how they're arranged in a grid. Some have lights out. You know, you've got this fancy building right here with, like, different color light-ups. You know, sort of a similar one right there, kind of above my head. It just looks nice. And, you know, spoiler alert. In fact, I'll probably cut ahead for just a second. Everything looks this nice, right? Like, and it's not just the same, like, okay, you know, next construction, like, each level is different, and yet it's got that sort of tender care put into it. As an example, let me do through the magic of editing. Whoopah! Magic of editing. Here we are in level 2. Take a look at this level. Again, I'll pause it. April O'Neil, stop. I know I'm supposed to go forward, but we gotta look at stuff. Just the first screen of a boring back alley, which, again, just like a construction site at night, we'll see another boring back alley, but it will not look anywhere near as good as this when we find another game with it. We've got red brick of some of the buildings. You can see to the next street over in the background, and it's not just copy-pasted red brick, right? You got, like, red paint, blue paint. You've got these trash cans overfilling with stuff. You've got a knocked-over trash can. You've got just sort of, like, boxes and bottles and junk lying around. You know, moving forward, we got this, like, green, you know, metal, sort of faded, you know, dilapidated, because again, we're in, like, the junky back alley. You've got, you know, dumpster over here with a fire escape, you know, windows with one of them has a personal AC unit on it. You know, a little bit forward in the level, you've got this chain link fence area, which of course you didn't. You could have just had them keep coming the way they were, but no. Now we have a chain link fence, and what's behind it? Is it the same copy pasted stuff that we saw before? No, we got a wooden fence we haven't seen before. We got these tan buildings that are, you know, they kind of look the same, but they're still different from the ones we saw in the background before. Like, it looks so nice that each level is just like different and like well designed and like interesting. You know, it's not just like, here's a blank screen in the background. Like, everything just looks good. Okay, now we skipped ahead and there's still a little bit to talk about in the first level, but so, magic of editing, let's go back. All right, so here we are back in the first level again, because I wanted to talk about, you know, we're talking about variety. Like, yes, you've got a variety of moves you can do. It looks, you know, variety of backgrounds and cool, like, nice-looking stuff to keep things interesting. But even the enemies have variety. And I'm not talking about, yes, the bosses are different from one another. No. They're just the basic guys that you're fighting in every single level. Like, you know, we got these, you know, the Foot Clan, you know, robot soldiers. But even they are variety between just the first and second level, let alone the rest of the game, right? So, okay, you got your purple guys. They're your basic, your weakest. Sure, like, they're gonna kind of be the same throughout, because you have to have a basic dude you can beat up. Aha, I gotcha. But, like, okay, for instance, here we've got these pink dudes, who I don't know why they're coming at me. You've got a ranged attack, sir. You gotta stop that. Like, all right, pink guy. Do your thing, do your thing. Like, see, they throw a ninja star at you. Which, by the way, speaking of, you know, cool stuff you can do, assuming I can get him to stop trying to punch me and do his range attack, like, look at that. Basic enemy, not a boss, not a sub-boss. Basic enemy, and you have a deflection mechanism for the ranged attack. With a nice little cool sound effect. Well, we'll get to sound in a bit, too, don't worry. You know, you got a little, like, tink. And it's not something special, it's not the boss. It's not Shredder, right? It's just a dude. So yeah, like, okay, here in the first level, you got your purple guys, your blue dudes with, I don't even know what, like, they look like tuning forks. I'm sure there's a name for them, but I don't know what. You got the pink guys throwing ninja stars at you, but now take a look at the second level. Then out here on level 2, sure, you've got the same purple guys, because they're your, you know, your basic cannon fodder, like, let's beat up some dudes. But now, like, the blue guys, instead of having the, you know, tuning fork, whatever it is, they've got katanas, and they do, like, a different attack, a jump attack. You know, instead of having the pink guys throwing ninja stars at you, we got these orangish dudes who, again, I don't know why the range guys keep trying to come up. There you go. Throw, like, a series, like, a jump attack, triple split kunai. And, you know, and it keeps doing it throughout the game. And I'm going to keep moving forward just because there's some more enemies I can show you, just that it keeps mixing stuff up. But, you know, like, on, like, the Wild West level, the basic purple dudes will have, like, bolos, or, like, they'll be throwing, like, you know, whipping chains and stuff at you, you know. In the prehistoric age, you've got the rockmen shooting rifles at you. You know, and there's, like, the Mouser droid, but here, you've got some of the, you know, robot-type enemies. But, you know, you also get, like, the Mouser droids later, you get, like, there's other types of robots when you're going into the future level. It's just, it's variety, right? It's just, it keeps things fresh, that even your regular run-of-the-mill enemies, even the ones that are technically the same, the, you know, the purple, the blue, you know, not, like, special types of dudes, they're different. Even between the first and, like, not just the first and last level, but every level. Like, people will do different things and have different weapons and have different patterns, different attacks, and it just keeps it fresh. Now, speaking of fresh, talk about some funky, fresh stuff, let's talk about the sound design. The sound design is amazing. First of all, it's got good, you know, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle-esque music, like this 90s stuff that, you know, classic, sounds good. But they're also really good with, like, the voice effects. For instance, here we go. Oh, pizza power! When you start spinning around. you know, when you heard me earlier when I got knocked over and he goes, oh, shell shock, you know, when I'll beat the level just so you can hear it, but, you know, like the cowabunga when you start the game or when you beat a level, like, celebrating your win. They announce every level, like, the titles of the levels. First of all, they have titles. They're not just like, here's level 1, here's level 2. No, they all have, like, Big Apple, 3 a.m., Alley Cat Blues. That they have a level, and then they announce it is pretty crazy. Let's just avoid that with our myriad jump attacks. Alright, blew up the guy. Let's hear some more of those sound effect stuff. Yeah, there's the cowabunga. Let's start the next level. You know, you can hear them with the recording. We're surfing, which again, one of the best songs of the whole game, and yeah, the reason I wanted to show off this level, again, like, visually it's fine, you know, it's not as exciting as the other, but, like, look at this, you have a bonus level, talking about keeping things fresh and exciting. We had a beat 'em up, and now it's almost like a rail shooter, just as a side thing you can do. It's like, okay, you had 2 normal levels, you know, have a thing where you're hitting enemies and, like, getting some free points. Actually, another funny sound clip. My toe! My toe! Yeah, then there's the, oh, shell shock thing. But it's just that the game just keeps things interesting, and it looks good, and it sounds good, and it plays good. And I guess the only other thing I've left to say, really, about it, because we've been going on for a while, is, I'll beat you back at the beginning, is that everything is very well balanced for all the stuff that's going on, right? Because when we see Power Rangers later, there'll be stuff like, oh, pick your favorite Power Ranger, and like, yeah, they're kind of the same. Like, I mean, they have like slightly different attacks, but otherwise they're just sort of carbon copies, and it's like, well, which one's your favorite? I actually saved this for you. The Ninja Turtles, on the other hand, it can be a little hard to see, but there are the different, this is from the official guidebook of this game. Not guidebook, like the instruction book. And you can see, like, yeah, Leonardo, straight down the middle, he's got good stats and everything, and you can see, like, Michelangelo, you know, like, I mean, you can see, I don't need to go over their stats with you, but they all are good at some things and, like, you know, bad at others. Like, are they a jack of all trades? Do they excel at stuff? And so it's like, you have that, it's not just, like, pick your favorite turtle, it's each of the turtles, yes, you have the same, like, Y button attacks, you know, the jump attack, you know, the controls are all the same, but they behave differently because they all have different stats. Including, what I think is interesting, that it's not the only game to do it. I know the X-Men Arcade does it too, which is, again, one of my favorite beat-em-ups. For instance, special attack is not like an item you pick up, but it uses your health to cost special. I mean, just find a guy here. So if you look at my health right there, and I use my special, I just lost a chunk of health using it. I've got doing on like the lowest level dude. It's a waste, right? And it's an interesting balancing choice that not everything does. Again, look at you, Power Rangers, where, you know, it's not like a special pickup to use your special attack. It's based on your health, and so you have an interesting thing like Donatello, for instance. He has a super long range, right? Because he has a bow staff. And, like, he does a big attack forward, but, you know, Raphael, who here's got, you know, a very small range because he's using size. So, for instance, his special attack, even though it's just this jump kick, does the most damage of all the specials because you have to get, like, right up in their face to use it. But then if it hits like a truck. And so it's just nice that the whole thing is balanced very well. So, yeah, it's just that everything is balanced super well, and, you know, sort of that's why I put this game at the top. Oh, and just so that, because I almost forgot, just for fun, even though this is a beat-em-up game, they have a 2-player versus fighting game just, you know, stuck in there. Now, obviously, I can't really show it off super well because I only have the one controller, so I can't fight myself. But yeah, if you want to do a fighting game too, you've got a fighting game in the midst of this beat-em-up that you can just do for fun if you want to mix things up. So, like, it's crazy, right? This game just has everything that it's got. It controls well, it's got variety in the mechanics of it, it's got variety in the enemies, variety in the levels, it looks good, it sounds good, everything. It's perfect. And if you, you know, when I was talking about, like, despite this game, like, if you take all of that and have nothing to do with Ninja Turtles, how it's already at the top, if you want to factor in Ninja Turtles, It's also got everything. Here we got Splinter, who doesn't show up in the main game, but he's here in this fighting mode. You've got April Neil on the TV, and then also yelling at you to keep going. You got Shredder, you got Krang, and you've got Baxter Stockman as your first bad guy. You got Metalhead, Rat King, Leatherhead, Bebop and Rocksteady later, Toka and Razor. It's just like, if you don't care about Ninja Turtles at all, the game will play super well and fine for you. And if you do care about Ninja Turtles, it's got all your favorite dudes. It's got all the good guys. It's got all the... Like, the only one it's really missing, like, it doesn't have Casey Jones, for instance. Like, it doesn't have everybody, but it's if you don't care about the nostalgia, you don't need it, and it works just fine. If you're like, I've never heard of Ninja Turtles and I never watched it, it still plays well. And you might be like, well, everyone's a turtle, but otherwise it's fine. And if you do care about Ninja Turtles, it's like, hey, there's my favorite character. Oh, there's my favorite. Oh, hey, there's that. This is great. Moving down from S rank to A rank, we have Disney's Aladdin. And I know you might be a little confused because when I first did Power Rangers, I actually said Aladdin was an S rank. And it still technically could be. We'll get into that towards the end of it. But for now, let's talk about what it has going for it. Now, instead of Ninja Turtles, which was a beat 'em up like we just saw, Aladdin is a platformer, and there's a lot of platformers to come, and this definitely is the best of them. In terms of controls, sort of it's the opposite and yet still good of Ninja Turtles. Right? Ninja Turtles, there was a lot you could do, which made it fun. Aladdin, there's hardly anything you can do, and yet it's fun in a good way. It's very basic, but very fun, the way it handles. So, for instance, you've got, well, let me scoot forward a little bit. So, okay, you've got, your running, you got your jumping, you can throw apples, which either will, you're kind of in the way, I can't show you. You throw an apple, which will kill a little guy, stun a big guy, and then the final control that you can do as the player is, here we go, this thing. You get like a little hover fall that, slows your descent. But otherwise, that's your controls as the player. Run, jump, throw apple, hover. But how you interact with the world for just having this basic, set of skills is very interesting. Because, all right, for instance, you just got like this guy. Like, bounce off the guy, and you kind of do, like, a little flip. Bounce off of this guy, you do a flip, and, if he's yelling, you can't do it. You got these, pegs coming out of the wall where they use your inertia, where if you're over here, you do a big jump forward, whereas if you jump sort of at the end, you don't go as far. If you jump even earlier, you kind of just tumble off. And stuff like, don't want to get killed on the first level. Here it is. It's like this pole. You bounce off of it, and like, okay, that's cool. It's kind of like the other thing, but you can't stand on it. Like, if you try and stand on it, it pushes you off. Now, you can control yourself so that you keep landing on it. But yeah, it's very simple, and yet interesting with how the game behaves. And you can do stuff like, do these little, physics type of, like, little short jumps, turn yourself around, get the inertia you need to, get going another direction. You can, let's get up here. Again, like, oh, I can't reach that special gem up there. Well, let's use, just like Mario, you can bounce on something to gain extra height. So you can, time stuff. But it's just very fun and solid. In a way, I'd say it's kind of like Mario, or, earlier Mario, where what you can do isn't necessarily a lot. It's not like supercharged jump. Obviously later Mario's changed this, but there's not like supercharged jump and your backflip and your run, jump, throw, apple, hover, and yet it behaves so differently with what you're doing, like jumping off this versus jumping off this versus swinging off this. And you saw me, like, if there's an enemy, boot him in the face. That's always fun. So control-wise, controls very well. Again, despite sort of being the opposite of Ninja Turtles, that there's not a lot, but it still controls well, and so it's fun. Finding this heart, I guess the next thing I'll talk about, and like this one-up, it's also kind of a collect-a-thon, which I like in video games. Now, it's true, it's not like a full-on, like, Donkey Kong Country 2, like, get the letters, get the banana coins, get the secret coins, get the it's not like that. But it's still, a good time. And in fact, in a way, it can be better depending on what you're looking for, because like that's a long, involved game. This game takes, you know, like an hour or two. But like, if you want to just run through the level and you don't care about collecting stuff, you're just like, I want to beat the thing. You can run along the bottom, bounce off a guy, keep going. Oh, there's a snake. Let's bounce off of him. But if you're interested, you can also say, look for, you know, heart upgrades, look for one-ups, look for the hidden gem. Like, there's 10 gems on each level, or like set of levels. And you don't have to find the gems. They don't do it. Like, they don't unlock a special ending. It's just sort of like, here's how many gems you got when you get to the end. But there's, oh yeah, like, you know, bonus levels, you can find stuff like that, or like for bonus prize, I should say. And so it's again, basic. Like, it's not super involved, but like, if you want to have a little bit of a collectathon that's not super involved, it's great for that. Like, if you want to spend your afternoon doing this, but not, you know, your whole weekend, this is the game for you, right? You know what? Okay, so we got controls, we got sort of the layout of the game. You know, unlike Ninja Turtles, you know, the enemies aren't as different. You know, you get like, there's the, you know, guards here in Agrabah, and you've got, like, you know, magic. You know, you got, like, bats coming from the ceiling in the Cave of Wonders, so stuff like that. But, let's take a look at graphics for them. The graphics look really good, too. Like, here in Agrabah, again, they could just do, like, you know, dusty Arabian city, but no, like, yeah, you got, like, here's this dude offering a lady an apple in the background. You sort of got, you know, just like in the movie, like, sort of the more scantily clad lady that was in the, you know, oh, I heard Aladdin's hit the bottom, you know, they're sort of leaning out the window. And, like, sure, the building itself is kind of, you know, like, just red stone. And they just sort of, you know, it's just sort of like, oh, here's a crack, here's another crack, you know, so it's not as varied. But yeah, I'm like, look, here's a dude selling some melons, here's... You know, it's that same sort of lady, but, you know, she's in the background carrying some other stuff. There's a kid up there playing with, like, a little bird. So it's you know, it's sort of a feast for the eyes that you can see all the stuff. And, of course, this is just Agrabah, for instance. There's also stuff like the inside the genie's lamp. Now, again, this never really happened in the movie and stuff, but... Again, a sort of a great, you know, feast for the eyes thing that you've got sort of like this casino style that obviously doesn't fit in. I was trying to hover. I'm used to just playing from the start to the end, but I don't have my my carpet to hover. But yeah, casino style to go with, you know, Genie's song of Friend Like Me. We got everything with Genie's face on it, but you're sort of like in this well, not neon, but, you know, like sparkly background. Shiny gem. Yeah, it's not Las Vegas, but it's the closest thing to it. Oh, also, there is, you know, neon right there with the genie sign. It's the Las Vegas of Aladdin, at least. We'll go with that. And so, you know, and again, like, I'm not gonna use the codes to show you every single level, but they look nice, right? Like, it's like the Cave of Wonders. Sure, it's just a cave, but, like, it looks cool. You know, you've got your whole new world where you're, like, floating above stuff, and even, like, the desert, what was I saying? I was gonna say desert prison. The desert, I forgot Genie's face. Oh, you fell! You know, there's, like, a desert temple that's not in the movie at all. It's just sort of a video gamey thing where Abu is like, stuff, and you have to chase him. It looks good, right? Like, it's not just like, okay, you're in the clouds, here's a white background with a bunch of clouds. Like, right, it looks nice. Just like the other game, talking about looking nice, it sounds very nice. Here you go. Have Friend Like Me in 16-bit version. Yeah, all right. We'll stop that for now, right? And granted, it sort of has the same benefit that, say, something like Ninja Turtles has, that because it's based on, like, a cartoon, or in this case, you know, it's based on a Disney movie, the fact that, you know, it's got all this music to pull from, because, you know, it's old-school Disney animation, which has a lot of good songs in it, so other games don't have that, but it's like, okay, I mean, maybe that's not fair that, you know, you can be like, oh, well, this has great music, yes, but it came from a Disney score, so, you know, it's got better source material to work with than some of the other things, but even still, they did a really good job with it, right? Again, yes, I saw the red thing up there. I'm skipping it. Everyone's like, you missed the gem! I know. Again, I just kind of want to also show up, like, look at this. Like, same genie in the lamp magic level, but now you've got, like, this land of, like, multicolor rainbow bubbles. Again, very fun to look at. Very fun to, like, play around in. So yeah, what was I talking about? Oh, sound. Yeah, just, like, you know, it's got, you know, sort of the goofy cartoon sound effect. You jump on someone with boing type of stuff. But it just, yeah, I don't know what else I can say besides, like, it looks good and it sounds good. Now, the problem, because you might be saying, okay, well, it looks good, it sounds good, why is it not at the top of the, why is it not in S rank? Will you continue? No. And he's so sad. The problem with the game is that, you know, it's sort of when I was thinking about it, in the way that, you know, I was saying, you know, Ninja Turtles, it doesn't even really matter if you know Ninja Turtles or not. You know, it's still, like, super fun if it's just the 4 good guys versus, you know, Badman and his army. Aladdin, I feel, kind of doesn't work quite as well. Now, it's fine. It's like, it's not like you needed to see Aladdin to play the game, right? In fact, they even have little cutscenes between things like, oh, Aladdin meets, you know, the hidden princess and blah, 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 blah. You know, they give you sort of a recap of the movie. So it's not like you had to have seen it. But I was thinking, sure, you know, Ninja Turtles is a great beat 'em up, even without having anything to do with Ninja Turtles. Aladdin, through no fault of its own, is not quite as good of a platformer when it's not Aladdin, because the Super Nintendo was really good at platformers, right? And that's why I'm sort of hesitant to put it as an A, because it's not through its fault. But at the same time, it's still true, right? So if you're like, let's play a beat 'em up, playing, you know, Turtles in Time, or in the case if it had nothing to do with it, you know, playing the good guys versus Badman, would be a super great time, regardless. But if you're thinking, like, well, which game, you know, which platformer should I play? If your choices are between, this one's actually, I missed it, that's okay, I don't care. You know, if your choices are between, like, you know, Popper Boy and the Magic Lamp versus, like, Super Mario World, Yoshi's Island, Donkey Kong Country, Donkey Kong Country 2, to a lesser extent, Donkey Kong Country 3, or even some not exactly, well, you know, like Mega Man X. The Super Nintendo just has a lot of good platformers. And so that if you don't have the Aladdin part of this, where you're playing around in Genie Land, and you're like, oh, look at Genie's face when Aladdin does something silly, right? Like, it loses a little bit. Like, let's say this wasn't, actually, a great timing for this power. This wasn't, you know, Genie, the Robin Williams voice we all know and love doing this. Let's just say it was just a roulette wheel with, you know, a little ticker just going tick, 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 tick. It loses some of its charm, right? Like, without the Aladdin aspect, it's still a good game. You're not like, oh, this is a terrible game. Like, it's a good way to waste some time in an afternoon. But it's not quite there the same way that, but thank you. I'll take a health upgrade. Yeah, it's not quite there the same way that Ninja Turtles would be if it was just a bunch of ninja dudes fighting a ninja bad guy. You know, again, assuming, like, the music was the same, it still looked the same. Just take out, like, Ninja Turtle references or Aladdin references. It's just a little bit like there are other games I could be playing. Like, this is fine, again, like, if you want to, you know, waste a couple of hours in an afternoon. It's not as long as some of those other platformers I mentioned. You know, it's not like Donkey Kong Country or Donkey Kong Country 2, but it does just sort of leave you with a little bit of a, I could be playing something else right now. So, you know, that's the reason why I put it down at A rank, and I sort of feel like maybe, you know, if we do this a bunch and we get a bunch more platformers or, you know, other games, whatever, that come up to A rank, yeah, maybe I'll move Aladdin back up to S rank, because it's not its fault that it's not one of the super big classics. So it sort of feels a little unfair to, you know, give it points, you know, missing docket points for that, but that's where we are. That's sort of the thing, and, you know, of course, and that's where my bias, when I'm like, Ninja Turtles is great despite my bias and whatever. Yeah, if I move Aladdin back up to S rank, sure, Ninja Turtles is still going to stay above it, because I like Ninja Turtles more than Aladdin. And, you know, that's my personal bias speaking. Maybe you think the other way around. But for now, until more games, you know, if more games clutter up A, we'll be like, okay, you know what, this is actually S rank comparatively. But for now, we got S, we got A. Let's move down to the B. As I said, moving down from A to B, next we have Cool Spot. And again, this is sort of just like, you know, Aladdin, how I was like, well, it was S rank, now it's A rank, but maybe, you know, eventually it'll move back up to S, I don't know. Cool Spot is definitely a thing where it should be in between A and B, like it's either an A- or a B+. But I didn't want to, you know, clutter the screen with like A+, A-, B+, B, B-, C+. Yeah, that just make it way too long. So for now, here it is at the top of B, but it could move up to A. So let's talk about it. Where do we even begin with Cool Spot? I mean, I guess let's start with the controls, because that's where we started with everybody else. Mechanically speaking, it's a pretty good game. It's pretty solid. Now, Aladdin, you know, you can walk. If you start walking for a bit, you start running a little bit. You know, you've got to jump. You can hold the button down. I don't know that it actually makes you run any faster. So, like, the not being able to run right off the bat is a little annoying. That part's true. But a lot of it controls a lot better than Aladdin. You know, for instance, your jump, like, look at that jump. Like, in terms of being a platformer, like, you can't ask for much more than a jump like that. And it's nice because you can actually control it. Like, it's not just that you're, like, springboarding everywhere. Like, if you want to do a tiny little hop, you can do that. And if you want to, even better down here, I can show you, like, all right, tiny little hop, let's get these things, woo. And then if you're just like, okay, done with little hops, blam! You just launch yourself. You know, again, just like Aladdin could throw an apple to, you know, stun big guys, kill little guys. Here you have an attack, but it's not just throwing forward. You can use the D-pad to go all around you. So, you know, that's pretty nice. So it's a little more complicated than Aladdin. It's definitely fun to play, you know, other than the little inertia of the running not starting right away. Besides that, fun to play. So, mechanically, solid. And then I guess what's next is, like, graphics and sound. Well, graphics are amazing. Look at this. Like, I mean, you know, this is actually, you know, one of those cases where I'd say, if I didn't know better, I would think that it was perhaps not 16-bit and was instead designed to feel it. You know, I'm thinking some more, well, modern. It's pretty old at this point, but, you know, things like Axiom Verge, you know, which was designed to sort of have that old Metroid feel and, like, seem like it was an 8-bit style game. But, of course, it has a much wider color palette than Metroid did. You know, and so it evokes that feeling without actually being limited. And Cool Spot definitely has that thing, except it is 16-bit. I mean, so first of all, like, look at the background. Like, that's a nice beach and sky and stuff, you know, that it's not just like, here's blue water. Like, you got shades of water, shades of clouds, shades of sand. But even, like, look at the design of, like, this Walkman, which, again, I know some of you are like, what? Oh, I'm sorry, a walk spot. But, I'm gonna kill this guy just so he doesn't hurt me. Like, look at the detail put into it. You've got, like, the cassette in the thing rotating as it's playing. You know, you got, like, the kink in the wire. You can see the little red dial on the AM/FM slider for the radio portion of it. Like, I had headphones just like this. You can see the little ticks in the metal, how you'd adjust them and they'd click into place. Like, a 16-bit game has no right looking this good, and yet it does. Again, you know, besides that, okay, like, sound. Let's talk about sound. I mean, sound is fine. Like, it's probably not as good as Ninja Turtles and Aladdin, but it's good. Like, I mean, okay, so sure, like, you know, they had, like, Wipeout as the first, you know, like, title screen song, because, like, it makes sense, right? You don't have a song associated with, you know, Cool Spot. Like, it's not like you can make Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you know, like, da-da-da, Fred like me. That, you know, this is just, like, a mascot for a soda pop company. Like, you know, they don't have anything to work with. And so, you know, just going with just sort of, like, this generic, like, you got Wipeout, and you've got now, like, sort of surfer music. Like, good choice. You know, it's maybe not as memorable, it's not as good, but for, you know, not having anything to work with, they did a good job with it. I think they didn't, you know, they made the appropriate choice in going with sort of default surfer music than anything else. Actually, and speaking of it, you know, being a video game mascot, in a way, this is kind of like what I was saying with Ninja Turtles, you know, and as joking there, it's like, oh, and, you know, in spite of it being Ninja Turtles, it's still good. I'm like, oh, not really. In this case, it is kind of, in spite of it being Cool Spot, it's good, which kind of makes it better, right? And you're like, but what are you talking about? This game is a soda pop company's mascot looking for his friends. You know, it is pure product placement. The entire game is product placement. There's nothing about this that isn't. You're like, you know, you are the mascot of 7-Up, looking for other mascots of 7-Up, finding, like, 7-Up power-ups, you know, to get, like, extra lives and health, throwing carbonation. Like, there's nothing about this that's, you know, they were like, 7-Up, whoa! Yeah, you see this game, like, what, are you sponsored or something? And like, no, I'm just playing the game, this is what the game is. Yeah, get 7-Up there to get some health. It's just so bizarre. And if I was like, yeah, we're gonna play a game where we're the 7-Up mascot, you know, you'd hear it and be like, what? And yet the game is so good and fun. And so, you know, again, for, like, the Ninja Turtles, if you're like, yeah, Ninja Turtles, hooray, this is super fun. Like Aladdin, oh yeah, I love Aladdin, Robin Williams is the genie, right? And this one, it's like, it seems like a terrible concept of we're playing the mascot of a giant corporation, but in spite of it, it's still super fun. Oh, speaking of when we're talking about graphic and sound, I do have to say, because I got the bonus level, one of the best bonus levels, and, you know, almost because it's sort of, again, the opposite of what you might expect, this still remains, to my day, one of my favorite bonus levels of all time. The Cool Spot bonus levels. Almost, it's like a reverse liminal space, you know, because, like, people, like, on the internet, like, you know, stuff, the reason why, like, the backrooms are so popular is you have these liminal spaces of, like, transitional, weird, eerie, not quite right spots that sort of, like, freak you out, and, like, when you think about it, you're like, oh, you know, we're in this, like, you know, a old office building, you know, we're in this old, like, 70s apartment that just kind of keeps going. And let me tell you, there's not really anything less liminal than, say, being inside a 7-Up bottle, where you just sort of, like, got this endless carbonation. Like, it's got this weird, you know, it's got the same weird uncanny valley aspect, and yet it's more like 90s rave than it is scary. So I don't know, I just want to just point out that I do think that this is one of the best bonus things of all time. Like, you know, getting yourself stuck in a 7-Up bottle where you're, like, bouncing around on the carbonation is just fun and good and weird, but in a good way. Okay, I just wanted to point that out because we were here right now anyways, so, like, why not? All right, continuing on, again, and here's, you know, like, another example I was talking about, like, with the music being, like, going with sort of a generic, like, surfer rock sort of thing. You sort of, like, that 90s attitude. So yeah, like, just wanted to give another example because we're on another level. You could, you know, sort of hear the music, and I think they did a good job with it. And again, take a look, you know, like, it's a nice little boat background. Like, we got these nice, like, rope piers and stuff, and, like, it's, you know, fun and cool. But now we gotta start talking about, like, okay, well, like, you think it's, like, good, it controls well, and they got this nice, you know, these nice graphics, they got nice sound, they got a fun bonus level. So why is it B? Why is it not A? Well, first of all, you know, I'm not gonna play the whole game, you'll have to watch the original playthrough, but part of it is that it does get a little repetitive and samey. You know, and sort of the way that Ninja Turtles, I was talking about, like, how much variety they have about, like, everything, like, looks different. Like, you go, you're in a, you know, skyscraper, oh, you're on the back streets, oh, you're in the Technodrome. And then, of course, you're like, oh, you know, you're traveling through time. Like, okay, well, they're traveling through time, but not every game can do that. No, but, like, Aladdin, you know, it follows the movie. You're in Agrabah, you're in the Cave of Wonders, you know, you're in the Magic Genie Land. This game does have a lot of there's basically 2 versions of each level. So like right now it's like, oh, we started with the beach, now we're moving on to the pier. Like, that's cool. But it's a little less fun when we get, you know, there's like a toy store, and there's like you're sort of in the house's foundation inside the wall, and like those are cool levels. They're fun ideas, you know. It's an interesting concept to be like, you know, you're not. What am I trying to say? It's, you know, they made the right choice that it's just sort of like you being small, interacting with a big world, rather than being like, where does soda go? Like, you're in a supermarket, you're in, you know, a vending machine, you're in, you know, I don't like a drink at a fast food place, or, you know, the fact that that it's less about you being related to soda and more that it's just that, you know, you're small in a big world is good. But the fact that they repeat all these things gets a little boring. So it's like, yes, the fact that we're on this pier now is cool, but when we come back in the evening and you're doing the pier again, it's a little less fun. When you do the beach again, when you do the toy store again, when you do the house again, it just gets a little samey, which, you know, kind of is running against it. Because, like, the whole point of why it's so fun is like, okay, well, you know, you're not like following a story. You're just like, I'm mascot getting my friends. And so you're like, let's look at these cool places where we go. Like, we're at the beach. We're at the pier. But like, there's no story. It's not like, oh, you know, the Ninja Turtles, we're trying to save the Statue of Liberty. You know, oh, Aladdin, we're trying to, you know, the whole plot of Aladdin. And so, like, the thing that it has going for it is how you're exploring these spaces. Because, like, remember, the story of this is your friends are missing, find them. And you're like, okay, I mean, that's fine for a story. Like, I don't need a more story and lore, but because there isn't any story and lore, you know, the game itself has to provide the entertainment, and when you start just repeating all the stuff you've done before, it's like, it's not bad, but we've already done this. We've already done the pier. We've already done the toy store. Can we do something else, please? Like, I do want a supermarket, even if, like, I think it was a good choice not necessarily doing one. I'd rather have a supermarket than just take 2 of the same thing. Going along with, things that are sort of a dislike about it, it's a fun collectathon, right? Like, the same way that Aladdin, you know, it's not Donkey Kong Country collectathon, but right, like, the whole point, as you've gathered from watching, is that we're gathering the spots, and we have to get, you know, enough cool meter to get our friends out from the cage, and then if you get enough, you know, of the things, you get a bonus up. But it's a little less fun when it's required of you, as opposed to when you want to do it yourself, right? Like, Donkey Kong Country, there's a lot you can collect, especially Donkey Kong Country 2, like banana coins, DK coins, the Donkey Kong letters, the, you know, the bonus coins, stuff like that, but like, you don't have to collect any of that to continue. Just like Aladdin, you can collect the red gems in each level, but you don't have to. This game, you do have to. Now, you don't need 100%, which is nice. And it is actually based on your difficulty level. Like, easy, you have to collect the least, normal, more, hard, most. So, you know, it's nice that it's a little forgiving. But, it, you know, it makes it less fun when it's a collectathon that requires you to collect stuff, as opposed to, here's stuff you can collect if you want to, but you don't have to. You know, like, imagine Mario if you had to collect all the coins. Like, I like to collect all the coins, but if the game was like, you must do this or you can't beat the level, like, I'm gonna have a lot less of fun time with it when it's telling me what to do. So it's sort of got that problem where they gave you a goal besides just get to the end. And, like, I understand sort of, like, imagine the first level, right? Like, we sort of explored everywhere, that you could go on the ground, you could sort of go on the mid-level with, like, the deck chairs, you could, like, bounce around the balloons up top. And so maybe they were like, well, we don't want the level to be too short, because if you just ran to the top corner, you'd be done. But, like, this level, you can't, like, skip the level. Like, sure, there's a little shortcut here and there, but, like, you play through the whole thing. So I just don't think they needed to be like, well, we're gonna make you look at our level. Like, you know, make me want to look at it for my own sake, not because you tell me to. Finally, there is some stuff that's just me specific, and maybe you don't have a problem with it, but if you go look at that cool spot playthrough we did before, you'll know exactly which level I'm talking about. One of the levels, you're on, like, a toy train. fun, right? I love train levels. Like, I love train levels in video games because you get sort of the fun part of a moving platform while also being able to, like, knock people into the abyss. Plus, I love trains and just in general. But, man, this one, the background scrolls by so fast that I'm just like, bleh. And that could be a me problem because, you know, again, as a kid, it never really bothered me. And, you know, that's more of now that I'm an adult, it's sort of a thing. But, like, this level, the background, like, the boats aren't going, bleh. Like, they could have just slowed down the back. They didn't have to make it so fast and dizzying. So, I don't know. It's got good parts. It controls well. It's a cute concept. It's fun. And it does have the best bonus level of any platformer ever, but it gets repetitive, it gets samey. It wears out its welcome a little too fast, is what it is. Like, you know, if it was half the length, it would be just as fun and wouldn't leave sort of the, like, oh, this again? For the end. Or, you know, if they'd changed the levels. So as is, it's like, solid first half, but, like, why second half? The game that started us on this whole, like, ranking things in the first place. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. You know, like, that's the reason why we even have an, you know, tier list at all. Alright, so, alright, Go Power Rangers, we heard it. And again, now I don't have to talk as much about this because you already saw the Ninja Turtles, and so you can sort of see, like, what this game does that the, you know, the other one, or what it doesn't do that it should be doing. So again, first of all, what was very surprising to me when we first played this, the fact that you don't have free control, like, right, it's just left and right. There is no forward and background. But I guess we'll, you know, before we get into all the stuff that's wrong about it, let's talk about the good stuff. First of all, again, control-wise, it does not control as well. It's not as fluid. It feels a little clunkier than the Ninja Turtles. But I will say at least they do give you a, you know, kind of decent amount of move variety. And, you know, again, it's not as much as the Ninja Turtles were, but at least, you know, when you power up, which we'll do in a little bit, there is some differences between the Rangers. So, like, right now, they all sort of control the same. You'll just have to take my word for it. Again, like okay, you might, like, look different, like punch, 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 you know, and, you know, you're sort of doing that, like, head spin kick. But it's all the same of, like, you do the combo, you can, you know, they control the same in the same way the Ninja Turtles do. But they don't feel very different. Like, you know, they don't have different stats the same way the Ninja Turtles do, or if they do, it's so minuscule that it's not as noticeable. But I will say, once they turn into the Ranger, at least they do have a different attack between them. So, like, you know, you got your red and black Rangers. I mean, they both sort of have an overhead swing attack. But, you know, Pink Ranger uses her bow to shoot forward. You know, Billy Blue Ranger, he's got his, you know, his being interesting that instead of having a special attack, it's that he can do his combo without actually comboing and do his, like, lance spin. And then I forget what Trini does, Yellow Ranger. I forget what her special sort of move is. I don't know, she does something special, whatever. So, you know, the controls, not as smooth, not as slick as the Ninja Turtles. And they're a little samey between all the Rangers, at least that, as far as I could tell. Which means they're kind of samey, right? Like, even if there's a difference, if you can't tell there's a difference, what difference is there? But yeah, at least there is some variety between them, and you're not just playing the same person in a different color. Like, here you go. So we can be like, hiya, and do that. You know, and that's a different attack than someone else will have. Again, let's sound, I said, you know, is pretty good. Like, you know, the Go Power Rangers, the front was very fun. Yeah, the music, besides the Power Rangers part, which it's doing right now, it's doing the Go Power Rangers. As I said before, it's sort of Mega Man-esque, you know, that sort of Super Nintendo, like, metal, which is good. Like, here you go, you know, just sort of... You can just imagine Mega Man, go Blue Bomber. So, you know, the music is fine. You know, the sound effects are whatever, you know, they're fine. Graphically, though, as I said, it's not quite as interesting. You know, I was talking about, like, here's what, you know, the back alley of Ninja Turtle looks like. Like, what does a back alley in Power Rangers look like? Well, now we're in the park. But the park, as you can see, like, it looks okay, but it's not as, you know, graphically interesting. Like, all right, there's one type of bush in the middle, one type of tree in the back. Like, okay, there's a gate, there's a statue. But otherwise, you know, for the most part, it's just, it's kind of a little repetitive. It doesn't look as nice. It's sort of more drab in their colors, which, I mean, to be fair, I mean, this one isn't drab, all right? Like, you know, now that we're in the park, we're not on the beginning. In fact, let me go back. Let me show you the beginning. Yeah, this part, it's a little drab looking, you know, like the Ninja Turtle thing was like, wow, this looks like sort of like a lived-in city. And so like, okay, here we've got, okay, you know, you can see in the background a little bit. Okay, they got that going, but like, all the buildings are sort of the same brick stuff. They've all got the same things in the window. Like, you know, there's no like piles of trash to make it look, you know, lived in. You know, it's not like someone has a window air conditioner here and there. It's just like the same two buildings. It's like, all right, there's flat building with pillars, and now there's like storefront with a glass window. And then when you move to the next section, you've got flat building with pillars and storefront with a window. And like, what colors do you have? You've got sort of a reddish brick with brown. You've got brown. And look, more brown. More reddish. And like, I'd say the Ninja Turtles, like, despite the fact that, okay, yes, like, oh, but this is real life, and that's a cartoon, so they're like, they can use more vibrant primary colors. So like, but real life isn't this drab and boring. Like, yes, you can take a picture of somewhere and be like, oh, look, it's all the same looking. But, like, go outside and, like, look around in a city. Like, not all the buildings are the same brown color. Again, like, I'm sure, yes, in some cities, you know, you take a picture of, like, one spot and be like, okay, yeah, those look samey. But, yeah, it's not, like, put a fresh coat of paint on this. Like, even if you're going for more realistic, real life is colorful. You know, it actually kind of reminds me of when Uncharted first came out for PlayStation, and they, you know, it's sort of the big thing back there to be like, oh, this game is so realistic. But what that meant was essentially everything was like sepia or gray, because like, oh, so realistic that it's all modern, gritty. And Uncharted had a sort of a jab at them where they had their modern realistic filter was it just made everything look boring and sort of washed out. Because like, right, real life is colorful. Like you like just take a boring like a lot, an empty lot, which, you know, up until now we had an empty lot next to where my wife and I live. You know, they're working on it now, but sure, it's got dirt and some like weeds, right? If I went and told you, like, let me describe that lot for you, what did it look like? A lot of light browns with dirt, dark browns with different types of dirt, all sorts of, like, whites and, like, light blues with rock. There was, like, light greens for some of the stuff, dark greens for some of the other, and it's just weeds. It's, you know, it's not like someone was planting a garden. There were bright yellows for some of the flowers. There was bright pinks for some of the other, like, weed flowers. Right? Like, even an empty lot is vibrant with color. Like, sort of the most boring thing you could think of, an empty lot had, you know, it was like, you know, like, right like this was, not like that first part was. So, like, I don't know, going for the whole, like, it's realistic, so therefore it's, you know, boring and drab, it just doesn't sit right with me, because real life isn't boring and drab. Like, yes, any part could be, but overall, it isn't. So, you know, mechanically, it's fine. Music-wise and sound effect, it's fine. Visually, it's kind of, not super great. And when you talk about mechanics of the enemies, definitely not super great. Like, sure, they have, like, all right, here's your basic gray putty. You know, here's your slightly, you know, better purple putty. You've got the green putty. Okay, so there are different types of enemies, but what you've seen now is basically what you're going to see for the rest of the game. It doesn't change all that much. Like, it's not, you know, it's not like there's going to be, oh, on the next level, there's going to be, like, the putties, but they're going to be wielding, you know, this sort of power. And, like, okay, well, but the putties didn't have, like, guns type of stuff the same way that, you know, they've got all the ninja weapons and Ninja Turtles, right? But you can make them attack differently. Like, sure, there are a couple. It's not just like these three only. Like, yeah, there are a couple more enemy types in the game, but like, make them like have the guy that punches high. You could have a guy that punches low. Like, again, the foot soldiers and Ninja Turtles between the first two levels, the ranged guy in the first level threw straight. The ranged guy at the second level did a jump attack, like down throw, right? It's not that it's some super crazy powerful weapon or new different. It's new different. You get what I'm trying to say, right? Like, they're just, there's not so much variety. It's like, you see the enemies now, and like, yeah, maybe they'll add like one type in the next level. But, yeah, that's all there is to it. There's nothing really new at this point besides the bosses. What else is there really to say about the game? Not much. I will say, I'll give it credit. I just picked up the health pack and I saw it, and I'm like, oh yeah, that part was kind of cool. I do like that, you know, they have the life counter, where it's not just like, here's your life meter, this way it is in like Ninja Turtles or Aladdin. You know, if you pick up life and you're full, you just get more. They're just like, oh, you know, instead of 100%, now you got 150%. Which is nice. Like, you know, they didn't have to. They could just be like, hey, the power-up does nothing for you. Now, and of course, you could say, well, this isn't really 100%. You're not full. Yeah, but shut up. You know what I mean. Like, the fact that they let you collect over the normal amount is nice. It's fun. And of course, you know, I'm not going to play the whole game, so we're not going to get to it. But, you know, I can't say, you know, talk about this game without talking about the Megazord thing at the end. Like, that was a fun touch I didn't see coming, because, let's face it, the rest of the game's a little boring, and I didn't expect Megazord fight in this game, but the fact that it was there, pretty cool. Well, alright, and to be fair where it's due, what some people might dislike about it, and I think is a good touch, is that it is formulaic, and so you might be like, oh, well, that's kind of boring that all the levels sort of follow the same, like, you know, follow the TV show. But I think that it makes it a little interesting, because it does give it the variety that it's so otherwise lacking, that you start off as a human, then you get to turn into a ranger, like, halfway through the level, and then, you know, you fight boss at the end. And so it's not just like, and I'm sure there's some people who are like, well, I want to play as the ranger the whole time. Like, I don't want to just play as normal, boring human. But I think it does add a little bit to it, that you start off normal and then switch to being the ranger. Because yes, is it formulaic? Yes, it follows the show, yes, but it does add variety to it, which the game does lack. So it does have that going for it. That's fine. Again, here, we're on level 2. We're on a completely different level, and, like, the forest behind us, yes, it's, you know, a little closer to the foreground, and you got sort of shadows in the background, but hey, guess what? This forest kind of looks exactly like the park we were just in. Like, yeah, it's slightly different, but it's not that different, right? So just kind of going to show that, like, the game is fine-ish, but it's also kind of, you know, boring. And, the other thing I want to talk about that's a problem with it before we finally move on from it, unlike the Ninja Turtles, like, I don't know, what am I trying to say? You know, Ninja Turtles, I was saying, like, it's super fun, even if it's, you know, the 4 good guys versus bad man. And again, the Power Rangers thing does have that going. Like, you don't need to know Power Rangers to get this game. And in fact, it kind of works because for being a tie-in game, there's not a lot of tie-in. Like, yes, you can pick, like, who's your favorite Ranger type of thing. Like, oh, I like Billy, I like Trini, whatever. But, you know, besides that, like, okay, at the beginning, you see Rita. And I was wrong when I did this first. There is a little bit more tie-in. I didn't recognize it at the time, because it's been so long since I watched it. The bosses are all sort of monsters that they fought from season 1 of the show. So, like, yes, you could be like, oh, there's, you know, Skull Man. I don't know what the name of that first boss was, but, right, like, I mean, the point is that, like, yes, okay, there is some more tie-in nostalgia value, but, you know, unlike Ninja Turtles, where it's like, okay, if you don't know anything about it, it's fine. And if you do, you're like, whoa, there's my guy. Oh, there's that guy. This one, it's like, okay, well, there's the Power Rangers, and that's about it. You see Rita for, like, a flash at the beginning. Like, there's no Zordon. There's no, like, again, I'm forgetting the guy's name, but, like, the dude who put the stuff in the oven to, like, bake the putties and make the bad guys, like, he's sort of like, like a little gnome type of dude who is like, ooh, I'll cook them and make them mad. I'll fight the Rangers. Woo-hoo. Like, where's he in this game? I might not know his name, but I remember him, and he's not here. So it is just sort of a, you know, it's like, you don't need to know Power Rangers to know this because there's really not anything Power Ranger specific about it except for the character you're playing. Like, oh yeah, they look like putties. Going in at the end of the Bs, we have Lethal Weapon, which, if you saw the end of Lethal Weapon and I gave you a preview of this tier list, you already knew that this is where it was going to be. You know, Lethal Weapon is an interesting case because it was sort of a... When I first learned about it, like 10 minutes before I started recording it, I was like, oh wow, this is going to be terrible. And then I played it, and I was like, oh wow, this is going to be really good. And then I played it more, and I'm like, maybe not. So it kind of was going woo about where it was going to end up. But we'll talk about all that, you know, like, let's just start and analyze it as we've done the other ones. Now, let's start with the good first, because it does have some good stuff going for it. I mean, it is in the top half, you know, it's in the top half of the list, so clearly it's not, you know, it's more good than bad. So the mechanic, control-wise, as I said, you know, when we first started playing it, it is very arcade or, like, old Nintendo style. Like, I'm thinking, like, Donkey Kong Jr., when you're like, climb up, avoid enemy, climb down, move over, like... Yeah, it's very basic. Very, very basic. But it's fun. You know, again, like, climb up ladder, shoot enemy, climb down ladder, shoot enemy, climb up ladder, you know, that sort of thing. You know, it does feel very, very old school platformer. But it's fine. It's fun. You know, I was having a good time. Like, you know, and if the rest of the game was just like this, it would be ranked higher than it is, in fact. So, like, yes, it might be simple, but it scratches that, like, old video game itch, which is nice. Now, moving on from that, you know, there's not really else to say about the controls, because, like, okay, we talked about it. You can shoot a dude, you can jump. Hooray, there's our controls. You know, there's, well, I was gonna say, the graphics, we'll get to the graphics. For now, let's talk about the sound. The sound is very good. Again, the fact that they have, like, little voice clips, it, you know, like, hey, Mao, and stuff, like, when you're in there, like, switching characters is fine. But what really sets it apart is the music. You know, vacuum. Like... Like, the music is on point. Like, it might be my second favorite music of all these games. Like, Ninja Turtles, I still think has the better music, because, like, I mean, I will listen to some of the songs from Ninja Turtles, just, you know, like, sewer surfing and stuff, still to this day, because I think they're good. But, yo, this one, I think, might be the second best, and that's saying something, considering Aladdin has, like, a whole Disney score behind it, but, like, just in terms of Super Nintendo 16-bit sound songs, like, this is solid. I was not paying attention to where I was going, so that's a little less solid, but that's on me. The music, solid. If it's just based on music, this game, yeah, A rank, at least, if not S rank. So, yeah, we got that. You know, it's sort of fun to control. The sound is good. One of the other things, like, what else is good about it? Well, the character system is actually kind of the best of all of them. Because, like, unlike everything else, why am I not jumping? I don't know, but, you know, what was I saying? Characters, right, I got this part is bringing back, oh, I missed. The way the character works, right, you know, like in Ninja Turtles, you pick your favorite turtle, you blah, 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 go and play. Power Rangers, pick your favorite Power Ranger, go, fight, play, whatever. In this one, it's kind of interesting, because, like, whether you're Riggs or Murdoch, in fact, I'm going to purposely die right here, just to be like, oh, I got hit, and then, like, oh, I'm going up here and get hit. You can pick whichever one you want to play as, right? But then when you die, your partner takes over from your checkpoint where you last were. Which, I mean, think about, like, Final Fantasy took until Final Fantasy X before it had, like, oh, right, all these people are on the same mission. They're all right there. You know, like, we can switch other people in because they're all here. You know, it took until Final Fantasy X for them, and yet, you know, Lethal Weapon did it way back now. That, like, yeah, both of the partners are here, and so, like, if one falls in action, the next one can just pick up where they were. And, you know, going along with that, the timer, which I have some other things to say about the timer, but at least one of the nice things about it is, you know, when you run out of time, rather than just being like, okay, you died, or like, okay, game over, whatever, you know, it just takes one heart and it just puts you at the checkpoint where you were. And like, both good and bad, like, you know, you took an enemy out, they're still dead. But on the other hand, you pick a power-up up, it's still gone. And like, that's a really good way of doing a timer, like in my opinion. That it's just sort of like, it continues where, you know, in the games, you know, era before, why am I not getting in the pipe? Thank you. In the game era before, like, quick save, quick load, just, you know, restart wherever you are, they kind of had sort of a restart thing going on. In fact, I'll time out here in 30 seconds. And you'll see that it's like, you know, it's just going to pick us up at the last checkpoint we were at. And it's not going to be like, okay, you died, game over. Okay, go back to the beginning. It's just like, okay, you timed out. Well, we're going to punch you in the face and be like, bad you. You ran out of time. But keep going. Which is very, you know, interesting mechanic that not a lot of... Yeah, because you think about, like, Mario and a time limit. And you run out of time on Mario and it's boop, 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 and you're dead. But here, not the case. Not that I did anything, so I can't really show it off. Like, look, the guy's already dead. So yeah, Lethal Weapon does have some good stuff going for it, and if it was only this stuff, it would be a pretty, you know, it could be even A rank, possibly. Unfortunately, it's not all there is in this game, and that's sort of a problem. So, for instance, I'm gonna shoot that guy, for instance. You know, there's... Ow. One of the problems, and the timer. The timer is the problem. Let me go, just like say that in the first place. The problem with the game is that, well, there's two problems. Okay, it's very old classic, and like the fact that there's a timer on your stuff, fine. You know, it's not my favorite. Like, I definitely prefer when there's not a timer. Like, like Donkey Kong Country. Oh, I was like, what the? Right, the Foghorns. You know, like Donkey Kong Country, you know, they don't have a timer, stuff like that. But like, okay, like Mario and stuff, they've got timers, and like, it happens. And I definitely prefer when you're free to do whatever you want, as opposed to having to wait for time. But the problem is that the timers in this are pretty unreasonable. Like, if you go back and look at the actual playthrough of this when I did it, you know, when I beat this level, I beat it with, like, 6 seconds to spare or something. Like, I just started, like, firing into the boss. You know, and it's just, it's unfun with how tight it is. Like, I don't care that you're like, okay, well, here's a timer, keep going. You can't just go forever and ever in the same spot. Like, it's okay, sure. But, like, even with, you know, finding timer power-ups, which there are, you know, like, you can find time pickups, and it's still just, like, this one, and I know there was another level where I was just, like, running out of time, so it's just, like, shoot, 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 because, like, I'm about to, like, time out and die. It's way too tight and way too unforgiving for, like, the length of the stuff you're going through. They either need way more time pickups, or they need, you know, a lot longer of a timer to start with. And frankly, I don't think you need a timer at all, because it's not like, you know, besides like, okay, let's wait to jump for that. Like, it's not, say, like, Cool Spot, right? Like, that has a timer, but that's because it's also a collect-a-thon where you have to look throughout the level to be like, okay, we're gonna go, like, on the top, we're gonna go on the bottom, we're gonna look in the middle, you know, like, you're looking for all the stuff, and so they're like, okay, well, you don't have forever, you gotta go fast if you're gonna try and find everything. And it's like, that's understandable, but like, there's no collect-a-thon here. It's just straight platforming from start to end to kill enemies. Why do I have to be timed on it? Like, why? What does a timer gain me? You know, that just playing the thing by itself, you know, wouldn't have. Like, what am I gaining by being on a time limit? Like, why is this a better experience? Because again, I think it is probably a better experience in Cool Spot that you don't have all the time. So if you want to try and get 100%, like, you gotta move, and if you're okay not getting 100%, then you don't need to worry about it. So, I don't know. And especially because, like, this definitely has sort of that old video game, like, you'll run and, like, find dead ends where there's nothing there, or just, like, here's an ammo pickup. And it's like, okay, well, I just wasted all my time going along this way for nothing. Like, thanks, game. Which, sure, you'd learn it after you played for a while. Like, you know, if this is like, you know, you got this for Christmas, and you're like, well, this is the only new game I have, so you play it over and over. Like, sure, you'll know which rooms have pickups, which are dead ends. It's just not fun, though, right? Like, it's just, why? So that's one of the problems. The other problem... Here, went back in time a bit. Back to the first level just to show it off a little better. But yeah, like, look at the background. Remember, like, Ninja Turtles, the first level, you're on this, like, the red girder of the construction looking off into, like, the purples and blues of the water, and you've got, like, the brown lit-up building with the reflected light as it's, like, you know, twilight and lit it up with the city. And what do you have here? You've got dark, a little less dark, and then, oh, we have a building which is dark. And that's it. It's just, you know, it's sort of for all, like, as interesting as Aladdin and Ninja Turtles and Cool Spot are, this ain't it. This got nothing. Like, there's blues and blacks, and there's some more blues and black. And again, I don't know if that's because they were trying to be like, oh, it's more realistic, or if it's just, you know, let's be fair, if it's because there are certain companies like Ocean that make worse games than other companies. So it could just be they didn't want to put the time and effort in. But whatever the time and effort is being, it's just not interesting to look at. So again, it's a game that if the mechanics of it could put it higher, high B, but just the timer and the looks and just sort of the repetitiveness of later on when they're like, it's difficult because there's a lot of dudes to shoot. Oh, and they have the tendency to shoot you off screen when you really can't shoot them off screen, which again, limitation of the Super Nintendo, fine, whatever, but like, if they're not on screen, they should not be able to shoot you if you can't shoot them. Just make off screen, not there. But they're like, yeah, no, we'll shoot you off screen, and you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna shoot you, and they're like, no, we're not there, you can't hit us, so... Fun game that just gets brought down by a lot of its, a lot of the, you know, its negative points are pretty negative. So it's like, it's got high, it's got low, and so together it kind of goes, ugh. Going from one Ocean game to another, which might explain a few things, but next up in the C category, we have Addams Family. And I will say, you know, I'm letting this play out because, okay, fair is fair. The intro is pretty cute. The thing being like, you know. The Addams Family. Right, okay, so like, you know, it's alright, fair play, that's cute and all, but on the other hand, it's not unique to this, right? Ninja Turtles started out, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, like Aladdin has basically the whole score of the movie. Power Rangers, go, go, power, like, you know, so it is cute and it's fun, but it's not unique to this. So like, it's, again, you know, it's okay, but it's not special. So let's talk about controls before anything else. It controls okay, fine. Like, it's really weird because at the same time, it's kind of like when you're out here, it's almost a little fluid, which you'd think be like, okay, that's kind of good. But like, okay, in here, let me reassess. In here, it's a little laggy. Not laggy in that, like, you know, it's like, but it's like, it just feels a little slow from how I'm jumping to where I'm moving, right? Compared to out there, I sort of jump and move at the speed I feel like I should be moving. Like, especially jumping off of these guys, like, okay, like, that feels all right. But, like, inside, it doesn't feel all right. So that's a little, I don't know. You know, again, I don't know, let's pick a door, we'll just go do anything, it doesn't really matter. The old tree, sure. It's... I don't know, like... Where do I even begin with this? Like, it's just... Oh, this is a secret path to the graveyard, thank you, thing, I don't care. Oh, right, I forgot about the power-up. Oh, and I got hit, so I lost it. So yeah, the controls are okay. They're not great, but they're not bad. They just are. And that's kind of where the good talk about the game ends, because, like, graphic-wise, like, it's not that it looks bad, but it doesn't look special, and it doesn't look good, right? Again, like, you take the Ninja Turtles out of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, just look at the background, put someone else in there, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's a pretty cool scene. Whereas this, you've got, like, this is even less than Power Rangers, right? Like, you've got a rock wall, you've got grass, and that's about it. Like, well, okay, but you're in a cave, like, so surely that's the cave. Also, I don't even know what it's doing here. It's like it's stalling me when I jump. I don't know if that has something to do with my power-up or what, but be like, okay, let's look outside. The old tree, the background is some sticks. All right, sure. Sticks. That's cool. I'm like, oh, there's a flower. Like, let's go inside the house. The Addams Family house, right? Like a kooky, crazy place, and the main hall looks all right. You know, you got, like, the big hall of stairs and, like, the candelabras in the background. Very Castlevania-esque. You're like, all right. So the main hall, that's pretty cool. So, like, let's check another door. And you've got the, like, 16-bit portraits of the Addams, which, fair enough. But, like, what's the background otherwise? Green wallpaper. What's Addams Family about that, right? You know, and that's kind of actually one of the main problems. Like, all right, the sound. It's fine. Like, it's not bad. Like, you know, those are cute little pop sound effects. And, like, you know, I don't know what that was. Yeah, it's controls, again, like, I'm not sure what happened there. I just started bouncing. So it's not that the sound effects, like, hurt your ears. You're not like, oh, I can't stand listening to this. But they're not anything to write home about. Like, they could be in any game, and you'd be like, eh, all right, those are sound effects. That's fine. Again, here, look at the granny's stove background is a brick wall. Like, do we get to see, like, cutlery in the kitchen? No. I mean, yes, we're gonna go into the stove where it's all fiery and stuff. But, like, how about here? You know, do we get to see, like, serving plates and platters? We get to see, like, a storeroom full of goods. Nope. We get to see a blank background of bricks. Isn't that thrilling? So, yeah. The looks, the sound, they're just sort of generic. Now, and that's almost really one of the major sins that this does is, you know, just like Ninja Turtles, Aladdin. Like, they're very Ninja Turtles and Aladdin, right? And you're like, okay, like, yeah, these are my dudes. This is my movie. This is all cool spot. Doesn't really make sense, but you're like, yep, that's the 7-Up logo. He's collecting 7-Up things. He's rescuing his little cool spot friends. I mean, and even Power Rangers, even though I said, you know, there's not a lot, like, okay, you get to choose your Rangers, and there's Rita, and that's kind of about it. Like, okay, the bosses, if you remember Season 1, will be familiar. But otherwise, you know, it's not very Power Rangers-y. But even that had the Power Rangers. Like, what about this game is Addams Family? Like, okay, yes, like, you look like Gomez, and if you go into the room, like, oh, look, there's portraits of the Addams Family. Like, there's Lurch, there's Thing. But gameplay-wise, what does this have anything to do with the Addams Family? Like, I've seen a little bit of the old show. I've seen some of the really old comics that everything was based off of. You know, and I've seen the movie. And other than being like, okay, well, it's sort of like creepy, fantastical horror, but it's kind of goofy at the same time. That's really all there is. Like, okay, I guess, like, there's money in that they're rich. Or, like, you can get a fencing power-up for Gomez, because, like, the one time that he's, like, fencing people. This isn't Addams Family game, right? Like, there's nothing about this that's Addams Family. Like, you know, before I say, like, oh, you don't need to know a lot about Power Rangers to play this. You don't need to know a lot about Ninja Turtles to play this. Like, you can know everything there is to know about Addams Family, and it doesn't really have anything to do with this. So, it feels like an Ocean game. Like, it feels like oh, we have to tie in a game to this other, you know, IP, you know, this other property. So I guess we're doing the Addams Family, and they're like, okay, well, let's design the character to sort of look like the character from that. Okay, and what else about it? like, you know, this fly, like, especially, like, okay, so you're gonna make, okay, well, the atoms are kind of, like, creepy and kooky and stuff, and yet the enemies, like, this looks like a dude out of, like, Bubble Bobble or something, right? Like, there's nothing atoms, like, okay, outside the house, sure, it looks sort of, like, yeah, there was, like, this spooky ghost flying around, the spooky, but what does this cartoon little fly having in it? Like, hi, I'm a little fly, like, your rescue attempt has failed, you know, I'm gonna quit. We're gonna just start over just to look some more at, like, it's just... There's nothing Addams Family about it. Yes, they have the intro song, yes, you look like a character from it, but... It's not Addams Family. Like, yeah, here, this part at least, like, okay, those are sort of, like, kooky, creepy vibe, so at least that passes the vibe check. But the little, like, cartoonish flies don't. Like, what, like a little dwarf or mouse or elf, pixie, I'm not even sure what, spinning around in there. Like, okay, this dude with knives, I guess. Like, here's an angry teapot that looks more like it's out of Beauty and the Beast. I don't know. It just seems sort of like they were trying to cash in on a thing, or someone's like, hey, make this game, and they're like, paycheck's a paycheck, sure. You know, or, and I don't know, like, whose fault it is. Were they like, we want an Addams Family game, and so Ocean was like, sure. Or if Ocean's like, you know what, no one's made an Addams Family game yet, let's do that for the Super Nintendo. Now, to be fair, I was at least, you know, for intrigued about it enough to play the whole thing, right? And that one is definitely, you have to watch the whole playthrough, because there's a lot more I could talk about that just doesn't work in this, and frankly, I don't even remember some of it, but I do remember having a conversation in that, playing this game, about why some stuff, like, became commonplace with things like Mario, Sonic, you know, stuff at the time, and this didn't have that, and I frankly don't remember even what that was I was talking about. So you'll have to go watch the original series. You know, it's in the Super Nintendo playlist if you're interested, but there's just things about this game that just don't feel good to play. And at the time, and I was trying to give it the benefit of the doubt to be like, well, maybe at the time it wasn't standard that you do blah, 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 and so they were trying something different, and it turned out that was bad. Like, maybe it's the invincibility frames, or your checkpoints, or I don't know what, but there's something about it. And, yeah, just seeing this, it brings back memories, and they're not good ones. But, to be fair, I did finish the game. We played from the start to the end because I was intrigued enough. You know, we did enough during the first stream that I was like, you know what, we're gonna do it a second stream, and we're gonna see it through to the end. We're gonna, you know, rescue Morticia and our money and whatever it is we're trying to do. I think Morticia is the last one you rescue. You rescue everyone else first. But the same cannot be said. The next game, down in the D rank, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. At first glance, it looks like it should be better than the other Power Rangers. Like, it has a lot going for it that the other one didn't have going for it. You've got 2-player, which the other one didn't have. Oh, I mean, I guess I never talked about that. Ninja Turtle. Let's go back to S rank. It had 2-player. Good for us. The other Power Rangers didn't have 2-player. And, you know, unlike the other Power Rangers 2, this one has 2 levels. Like, it's still not exactly free, you know, free going back and forth the same way. But okay, like, at least, you know, the other Power Rangers was just left and right only. This one has, you know, multiple dimensions. Whoa. So, like, 2-player, multiple dimensions. This one should be great, right? You know, you get the White Ranger to choose from 2. You got, because, you know, Green Ranger was bad, then good, blah, blah, blah. And yet, this game was kind of so horrendous that I didn't even want to finish it. You know, the thing, like, we beat the first level, and I could have kept going, and I just didn't want to. So, like, I guess let's talk about the good. Controls, no. That's not particularly good. Let's not talk about that. The graphics, better than the other Power Rangers. You know, there's a little more variety in what you're seeing, but no, those aren't particularly good either. The sound, though, the sound's good. You know, it doesn't have the Go-Go Power Rangers thing the other one had, but the music is fine. You know, you get a nice little whoop-ah when you punch the putties. Like, okay, it's cool. But, you know, there's nothing great, but it's nothing, you know, bad. And that's about where my compliments stop. I don't have anything else good to say about this game, because... So first of all, yeah, there we go. We used our, like, Super Power Ranger Morph Attack. One of the things that's kind of dumb about this, you know, before we've had, like, oh, the Ninja Turtles are... You know, it's like, they've got differences between them, but they perform the same. You know, the Power Rangers, they all sort of perform the same-ish, but, like, you know, they've got one different attack. Now, to be fair, what's here, yes, they're a little more different, but at the same time, it's not in a good way. For instance, I said, you know, when we played this and I switched to Kimberly, the Pink Ranger, you know, when she was a human, instead of punching people, she just slaps them, right? And it's sort of like, what? Like, what is this? Like, at least in the other Power Rangers game, like Kimberly and Trini, they'd throw a punch and, you know, hit someone, whereas this one, it's like, I'm the Pink Ranger, I'm gonna slap the enemies because I'm a girl. And you're like, what? Like, what is this? The first Power Rangers had, you know, less sexism than this going on. And it's like, some of the stuff that seems like it could be good isn't actually all that good. Like, okay, we got this, like, dual, like, front and back going on. It's like, oh, the foreground, the background, like, that's kind of cool, except that it isn't, because it's just a way for the game to have, like, bad stuff. Like, all right, you want to switch? Ow, I got hit. There's no way to, like, attack the person as you're coming in. There's no way to block against it. It's just like, okay, if you're, you know, going into, like, the foreground or background, you're just gonna get hit if there's someone there. And there's nothing you can do about it. So it makes it more annoying than interesting that there's another, you know, level to the thing. You coming back? No, you're not coming back. You'd never come back. Ow. The way the power works, very stupid, in that, so you get these power things, right? Where you're like, okay, we're like powering up, and there we go, let's like collect some more. And like, so sure, you know, you power up enough and you get the full collection, and then you can like turn into Power Ranger mode, and then you get these again. And there we go. Now we power up, and the problem is like, okay, so now you've got like cool different like attacks that you can do with your weapon, and it changes based on what weapon you've got. But then as soon as you use your power, all right, we blew the guy up, you know, you're just back to punching again. The other Power Ranger game, once you were in Ranger mode, people had different attacks based on their weapons. You know, like Jason did the overhead swing, Zack did overhead swing, Billy did his like spin stuff, Kimberly shot her bow. But now all the Power Rangers play the same if you don't have like power to charge it up with. So that's very annoying that like the differences between them you can only do when they're powered up. All right, back at the beginning because I couldn't show you the thing I wanted to talk about. Another thing that's very annoying about this is that it's, again, more like a rail shooter than a side-scrolling beat-em-up, which, like, again, like, okay, we had, like, the bonus stage in Ninja Turtles that was, like, a rail shooter where you're on a path and, like, you hit the stuff as it comes by and it keeps going, you know. But this, the whole game is like that. It's like, okay, you're over here. Okay, bye. Enjoy your time out there. Okay, goodbye. You know, let's go over here. Okay, goodbye. Like, what sort of beat-em-up is this? It really is just like these two twin rails that enemies are kind of walking along. And yeah, sometimes they jump between the things, but like, what sort of beat 'em up is it when you don't have to even beat 'em up? I'm just gonna ignore all the, like, yeah, sure, you're not gonna get your power from doing it, but like, you know, it's not like the other games where the enemies are coming like chasing you down, trying to hit you. Yeah, at least she doesn't attack going, ha! At least she's not like Kimberly with the, slappy slap, but... So yeah, it's just the game is not... Yeah, that guy, okay, bye. That guy, bye. This guy. Oh, that guy's in our way, so we'll hit him, but the other guy, bye. Look, that dude was even in front of me, and he didn't even attack, he just kind of shuffled. He's shuffling into me. You know, like, forget about, like, when I'm like, you know, oh, the different enemies have different attacks even between level 1 and level 2. Like, these enemies aren't even attacking you. They're just Like, okay, these guys are, oh, they're strong, but the basic guys, they don't have an attack. And like, okay, let's see, this guy's strong, but if you walk past him, he doesn't turn around. You got bad mechanics, bad game design, bad sort of character design. Your only differences between your characters are based on a limited time special attack thing. It's just... It's not a game, it's a game that's not hard to play. It's just not a game that's fun to play. So, oh no, she fell over. I guess we have to stop. But, even then, at least there's something redeemable about this here in D rank, which is not true of our very last game. Down here at the bottom in F, we have the official game for the Yeeeaaah 94 Winter Olympics. And man, if I said I had bad memories about Addams Family, this one. It doesn't matter. It literally does not matter. The thing about this game, we gave it a shot. I tried all the different things, but this game is just baffling to play. And again, if you want to see more of it in action, you can go watch the previous video, because I am not playing this for very long. My throat hurts. I'm at the end of this. It's already too long as is. And frankly, you don't need to see it. The game is just unplayable, right? Like, Power Rangers, the movie, gets a D because I don't want to play it. Yeeeaaah 94 gets an F because I can't play it. Now, some of it's like, oh, well, you're not, like, looking up the instruction, the guidebook on what you're supposed to do. And, like, okay, this one makes sense, where, we're doing a slalom. Like, it's hard to control, but, okay, whatever. And, like, you can see, like, oh, you hit the A button, you sort of duck in. Or you hit any button besides the control button, you duck in. And so you're like, okay, well, that just seems like you're bad at the game. Well, that's true, I am. But some of the games... I just did the full thing. I should have done the training so I could pick them. The problem with some of these games is that they don't work. And you're like, oh, yeah, that's just you complaining. It's your fault, right? No. Go look at the other thing. We looked up a guide when I played this game to try and get it to work. And some of the things that were like, oh, if you want to go, like, you get a faster start, you have to hit the A button. And the other one's like, oh, no, if you have to get a faster start, you have to hit the B button. So there were contradicting guides on what you were supposed to do. And neither of them did anything. Like, I want to say it was the bobsled, where you had to, like, push it at the start and then jump into it. And it's like, okay, so, like, pressing the A button, one guide's like, mash the A button, one's like, do it with the B button, and we tried both. Neither of them worked. And it's like, okay, like, well, at least, like, the luge you can kind of understand. You're like, well, stay, inside the blue lines, don't hit the edge or you'll slow down too much. But again, like, the start was super slow, and like, well, how do you start it? Are you supposed to time your pressing, or you're going like, ha, ha, ha? Or are you supposed to mash it? Is it supposed to be A, B, Y, A? Like, the game doesn't make sense. It doesn't work right, because guides say different thing and neither of them do anything. It's just, this game is unplayable. Yes, I am playing it. Like, it's not like the game refuses to load unplayable, not like that sort of thing, but there we go. Okay, we did that. 1 minute, 22 seconds. And, like, how is that as a record? So far, we got 3rd place. End results, we got 16th place. Yeah. Well, what did you do differently that didn't work? I don't know, because the game doesn't tell you. The game doesn't give you any sort of indication, like, all right, mash the button. Nope, that didn't work. Hold the button. Nope, that didn't work. Press this button. Nope, that didn't work. We just have the same start as last time. So yeah, that's basically, we're done. I'm not doing this anymore, but that's what you can expect from the rest of this game, that all of the things are just like, I'm not sure what I'm doing, and pressing different things doesn't give you a different response. Like, you'd think back, okay, press A button, action A happens, press B button, action B happens. You can at least figure it out. Sorry, microphone, I shouldn't have taken my anger out on you. This game doesn't have that. This game just has, You hit buttons and things sometimes happen, but nothing seems to correlate to anything else. So yeah, it's unplayable. It gets a rank F because it just makes... Nah, we're done with it. The only good thing I can say about... And again, like, it's got bad music. I mean, listen to this banger, huh? Now, if that was the start to a song, if it's like down, 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 and then it got into something, bam, 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 you know, like, sure, that'd be all right. But that's just the whole, like, 2 seconds of a loop played the entire time during that luge event. Like, okay, I mean, this part, you know, bow, 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 bow. But that's it. That's the whole loop. Again. Like, all right, here we get, you know, the sound, the song for the moguls. It's sort of trying to be like Cool Spot, where it's like surferish rock, like type of thing. But there you go, that's the whole song. So I hope you liked what you heard, because that's it. Let's see, we're pressing a button. Okay, yeah. Player 1, you didn't do too well. Okay, what was I supposed to do? Well, I don't know, not hit the A button. I tried doing that, that didn't work. See, let's do something different. Let's say, round 2. Let's just hit the control. No, guys, we have to hit, like, A button to start. Now you're, oh, wow, you're staying up. What are you doing differently? I'm just hitting left and right. I'm not timing it. I'm not doing anything. I'm just left and right, left and right, left and right, mashing the button. And it seems to be working, I think. Like, I'm sure my time is absolutely terrible, but... Like, is there a way to speed up? Oh, let's hit the A button again. No, that didn't do anything. Let's hit the X button. No, that didn't do anything. All I did was left, right, you know, I tried for something like left, right. Okay, and you're like, okay, but that kind of worked with the thing. But then I was just going left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Did the same thing. Yeah, player 1 got 0-2 of the final result. Yeah. Private tricks landed or whatever. So, yeah. The only thing I can say is the luge has an okay background, like with the sky and the trees and stuff. Because the rest of the graphics looks bad. I mean, like again, look at this. Like, sure, the trees look okay. That's basically what this game has. Is the trees in this game look all right. They got some good snow-covered pine trees. Everything else in this game looks garbage because it's not, like, realistic. I mean, like, they're trying to go for realistic, and it's not working. But, like, it's like, if you go for cartoony, that could have worked. If you had gone for more realistic, that could have worked. But instead, you've just got this. And this is the one where I'm like, A button? No. Y, B? No. Hold over? No. And this is the thing where we looked up a guide specifically to see how do you do that part, and 2 guides had differing result, like differing, like, here's how you do it, and neither of them did anything. So, again, like, this background right here with the mountains, the trees, that looks okay. And that's all I can say that's good about this game. The rest of it's garbage. We're done. So, as I said, you know, we're here at the end of the video, and there will not be another video like this. I know this took a lot longer than I expected it to. I'm sure it took a lot longer than you expected it. I mean, you watching on YouTube, at least, can be like, oh, here's the length of the video. Yeah, there won't be another one of these. You know, there won't be another one of these going forward. We're just going to, you know, talk about the games as we play them. So, you know, if I'm playing, oh, like, Super Nintendo game, movie version, you know, I'll just talk about it while we do the game. I'm not going to do a whole nother thing like this. But because I played all of these before I actually analyzed them officially, now we can say we're all caught up. Everything's been explained. Everything's been like, yep, okay, that makes sense. Or maybe you're like, oh, no, I think the music in this is better. Or, oh, you're missing the key fact that Yeeeaaah 94 is actually the best Olympic games ever made. And I'd say you're smoking drugs. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. So until next time, I don't know. Stay out of the, you know, one foot in front of the other. One jump ahead of the bad Yeeeaaah 94 game. That's all I got for you.